The Lake Tai Resort project is 2 islands located in Lake Tai in China. The brief that we were given was an eco-resort, and its larger agenda, or the larger agenda that was associated to it, was to develop a self-sustainable model which actually generated its own energy, dealt with its own waste, collected, purified and stored its own water, and looked at those sort of models of self-sustainability in terms of how we might live and occupy the urban environment differently.
A project that Rosalia and myself did as part of our own research won a Premier's State of Design Award. That then saw us being invited by the Victorian Government in the form of AUS, Australian Urban Systems, to participate in a biennale in Shanghai.
Look, AUS was an initiative of the government and the private sector some 5 or 6 years ago to make sure that we engaged with some of the larger urbanisation related projects offshore, and particularly in China. And the AUS signed a memorandum of understanding with the Wujin authorities to actually look at the remediation of that Lake Tai, very large lake. Part of the MOU, the Memorandum of Understanding, said that AUS would work with the local authorities to clean up the lake and also look at some of the other activities or issues that they were facing, things like the development of the two island project that RMIT are involved with.
We were quite excited by just being invited to participate in the Biennale. We just won the Premier's State of Design Award, so we were sort of coming off that and quite happy to sort of just be able to present and sort of, I guess, celebrate that award. We were just going there to sort of present our work, but sort of ended up being commissioned this sort of amazing project.
Look, RMIT were part of that subsequent missions to China, and they gave a number of presentations under the AUS umbrella and the MOU. And I remember that the director for the Tourism Authority, Mr. Min, actually was able to see the presentation by RMIT, and he was very impressed with what RMIT had to offer.
Lake Tai is the 3rd largest freshwater lake in China that has dozens of islands within its waters. The lake has been generally underutilized for some time. Recently, the local government has decided to investigate the development of a number of islands in the lake to explore how the region might benefit from careful environmental, economic and culturally responsible design.
And this consisted of really thinking about how the landscape might inform the urban design. So that's where the connection comes back into thinking about water systems, energy systems and waste systems. But then the challenge then comes, how do you do that within what's proposed to be a 5-star luxury accommodation?
It's one of the reasons we started working or engaging with China was because Victoria and the Jiangsu province, which is a province of some 75 million people in China, the capital of which is Nanjing, they were going through a very rapid urbanisation program. And some 32 years ago, the government of Victoria in those days established this friendship to actually work on challenges and opportunities that would benefit both sides.
So these two things coming together actually provided the opportunity to consider, well, what sort of design can this become, and how does this then operate as a prototype for thinking about other urban situations around the world?
The significance of the project to Wujin Tourism Bureau is to consider alternative models of development through the design of a tourist resort that will contribute to the improvement of the environment of Lake Tai and economically benefit the region.
The island project for us was like a model project, so even though it had really tight constraints associated to it, we see the application being applicable to suburban areas and to our own urban environment. So back in Melbourne, thinking about sort of whether it's in the densely populated area or sort of the periphery of the suburbs.
The knowledge that we've now developed through this project is now being implemented in another project in the same region, and that project will hopefully begin to be built next year. So we'll be seeing the real-world outcome of this research very soon.